this this revolution that I spoke of last night. It starts when we begin to ask the right question. When we ask ourselves, what is my deepest longing? What do I really long for? It's not so much about the question, but it's more about the direction that we're looking in. So usually when we ask that question, we come up with, I want happiness, I want to be happy, I want to be peaceful, I want to be free of suffering, and so on. The problem comes, or the confusion comes, when we look for the answer in the world of form. And I'm not just speaking of the world of things. Things like wealth, or success, or accumulation of material possessions, or even relationship. I'm really talking about the world of form in terms of thoughts and feelings. Because thoughts and feelings are forms as well. So when we start looking for the answer to our deepest longing in the world of thoughts and feelings, then there's a lot of confusion. In some ways we get stuck there because we're looking for a special state of consciousness. We're looking for good feelings and positive thoughts, and if only I could always think positively, always think lovingly, always feel happy, always feel comfortable, always love myself, and so on and so on. If only I could think and feel that way, then that would be the end of suffering, and then my deepest longing would be fulfilled. And there we get stuck. There we get confused with all the myths about what freedom is, what the end of suffering is, what awakening is. The real revolution begins when we look deeper than that. When we start looking deeper than that, in some ways it's an open-ended question, in the sense that we haven't already come to the answer. If you come to an answer when that question is asked, what is your deepest longing? I know, it's this, it's happiness, it's love, it's this. Then that's a clue that there's something deeper than that. It's an open-ended investigation. In that open-ended investigation, a kind of not knowing, giving yourself permission to not know, but to investigate. Not to investigate with the mind, because the mind is acquisitive. And it will come to an answer. It will come to a conclusion. It will come to a thing that it thinks it knows is going to bring the satisfaction or fulfillment that it needs. And there it gets stuck. The question, when it's open-ended, takes you vertically, takes you in. In some ways, that's a surrender of the mind. I speak a lot about surrender. This is also surrender. It's a surrender of the mind's knowing. It's the surrender of the mind's tendency to come to a conclusion, to come to an answer, to come to a knowingness, to come to a thing that it can then possess through looking for it, seeking for it, finding it, and then inevitably losing it, because everything that can be found by the acquisitive mind is going to be lost. Because all things, including thoughts and feelings, come and go. When the question goes in and falls into the realm of not knowing, there's a kind of openness and a surrender of the mind. What happens in that is that you come across all those feelings that have been tucked away and hidden because they've been so unwanted and unloved. Shame, regret, abandonment, unworthiness. It seems contradictory that the journey to the discovery, the true discovery of what is my deepest longing, which brings you to the fulfillment that you're seeking, brings you right up to everything that seems to be opposite to that is not that, the unlovability, the unworthiness, the incompleteness, the unfulfillment, and so on. But those are the very portals through which you can discover true wholeness, true completeness. They're the portals through which you can discover Godness. Godness in the sense that you are not separate from this. Godness in the sense of the unbroken presence, the openness that holds it on, holds it all. When we cannot be present with those energies that we've deemed to be unworthy, unlovable, unspiritual, we've deemed those things to be what's wrong with us. If we cannot be present with those energies, in other words, we can't meet them, we're tucking them away, we're rejecting them, we're suppressing them, we're keeping them in the shadows. We've created a wall, which on this side, we're not going to go there because it's not spiritual. We're going to go this way, which is spiritual. When we cannot be present with the totality of what is here, which is every energy that is possible and exists in the human experience, and each of us holds all of that within ourselves, then we cannot be fully present. Yeah? We think that being present very often is to do with being mindful of things, being aware of my footsteps, being aware of this flower, being present. Yeah? But it is not in the world of things that true presence has any real benefit, any real nourishment, any real transformation. It's in the inner world of all the energies that are part of our human experience. Then they become, whatever energy is here becomes a portal to true presence. And in true presence, it's the end of problems There are no problems in presence. Problems are only here when we make a problem out of what is here. We don't want it. It shouldn't be here. I want something else. I want to feel differently. Then it's a problem. Life is a problem. Your life is a problem. But there's no problem when you really are present with what is here. Presence is the same as openness. Presence is the same as tenderness. It's being tender towards what is here, not rejecting it, not fighting it, not arguing with it. It's here because it's here, and it's a doorway to the beloved. It's a doorway to true love. You don't have to like it. It's got nothing with feeling comfortable. It simply has to do with being tender. That tenderness is a softening. That tenderness is the deepest acceptance. In that, we discover that what's so monstrous becomes like a child yearning to come home, to be held, to be allowed, to be given permission. That's not the same as indulgence. That's not the same as indulging the poor me that is entangled in that unwanted energy. There's a big difference between the victim, identifying with the victim. I am a victim of this feeling. Yeah, you feel rejected, or you feel abandoned, or you feel unlovable. And you're a victim of that when you think there's something wrong with it, with that feeling. It shouldn't be here, and therefore there's something wrong with you. In that sense, we become a victim of feelings. We become a victim of energies. We become a victim of life. The deepest acceptance of what is here has no victim in it. It has no self in it. There's no wrong self or right self. It simply is as it is. It's simply energy. It's simply another expression or manifestation of life. That softens everything. It sounds easy, but that's where the challenge is. That's where it becomes difficult when it's happening to us, when it's happening to me. That's the possibility, that's the place, that's the possibility, the doorway. For true awareness, to become aware of the tendency to create a victim self out of what is here. And in that victim self there is an argument. When you start to see that, to become sensitive to that, then there's the possibility of relaxing, surrendering, softening, being tender, experimenting with that, seeing what happens. And then it goes deeper than that. Yeah? Because as we come closer and closer to this deeper acceptance, this deeper openness, then a great terror may possibly arise, an unnameable terror that seems to have something to do with the abyss, the abyss of beingness where there is no self. And that's the place where there's often a tightening, not willing to go there. So the journey is vertical, it's open-ended. There's no landing place in that. There are only layers. Layers of invitations. So then the true revolution has begun. The revolution is the waking up out of the dream of separation. The dream of there's a me here and a big world out there, a life that is happening to me. And I have to protect myself or fight it or barter with it or beg it to give me what I want. And in all those interactions of me and life, we've abandoned ourselves. We've moved away from our true authority, which is openness. And so we stop listening to that true inner authority and we start listening to the outer authorities.